living with electric vehicles. Is it what you want? Is it what the market wants? And is it really, really practical for our life, especially in South Africa? That's the question that we've got to answer, and you'll have to answer for yourself before you invest in one of these.
Hello, my name is Michael. I'm the owner of CHANGECARS and the host of the TV show All Things Motoring. I have one mission, and that is to make a difference to the motoring public. Making a difference how? Making sure that you have safe options, making sure that you have knowledge. In that regard, it is my absolute pleasure and privilege to work with Alan Rosenmeyer of MotorMatters. The man with a hat, I'm the man with no hat, he's the man with the knowledge. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Alan R from MotorMatters, CHANGECARS and All Things Motoring. A car that has created a lot of interest, that's for sure. It's Volvo's EX30. And I'm sure you can see by this, the lack of a grille, that it's electric. And the whole EX30 range was designed to be purely electric. If you come around, you'll have a look. It's obviously got cues like the Thor's hammer, daytime running lights. All these things are familiar Volvo, so we're not going to spend too much time discussing items like that. You look over here, although it's a relatively small car, it's rolling on really large 20-inch wheels. And very interesting, obviously in the interest of aerodynamics and economy, etc., note that they virtually covered the wheels, which is an unusual sort of feature, but also looks very distinctive, very good. You come along, you have a look, and of course now the car is not unlocking, but all I have to do is touch on there, little place to touch the key, and it unlocks. Let's have a look at the back seat for starters. Now, the driver's seat is of course set for me. This is that, as I describe, a crossover SUV. So it's not gigantic, but there's good legroom, I'm not complaining. Seat set for myself as always, and headroom is pretty good. Now take note of the fact that the entire roof is glass. Panoramic roof, I don't know what you'd call this because there's no opening section or anything like that. It's just this massive glass panel above you over here. Also take note of the fact that Volvo have gone to extreme lengths with recyclable materials for this vehicle. So it's not just the fact that it's electric, they've taken it a couple of stages further. So you've got this very interesting light grey cream coloured upholstery, which is all recycled and things like that. You've got USBs in the back, and very interestingly, those are actually the buttons for the rear windows. Different placing, but so what, you get used to it after a matter of moments. Also, look at the trim on the doors. Everything sort of space age look, and very nice armrest over there. That's how you pull to open the doors. But everything recyclable or recycled materials. And I think that is a big factor of this car. You can see the C-pillar obviously is very wide, but note it's a pretty low sort of profile for a crossover SUV. Now come round to the rear. And this is distinctive in many, many ways. You've got your LED lights over here and another light section up top over here. But interestingly, and this can be good from a repair point of view, if God forbid you ever need to repair, is that the lights are not part of the tailgate. Just can be important. And of course you've got this whole diffuser effect down there. Tiny little button over here to press to open the rear hatch. Boot space, well, should we do the Allen test? There's one bit of shopping there, but that's not going to affect anything. And the shelf is a bit solid, but yeah, I'll call it a 1 Allen boot. Not going to give it more than a 1 Allen, sorry folks, but definitely a decent 1 Allen boot. And just get our shopping out the way. Take a look. Sorry, no spare wheel under there, but that is a nice extra bit of space under there, and you can see your charging cable. Most important, of course. You've got to have that press button. There you go, and it closes. Now I mentioned this is the top model in the range, because Volvo do offer single motor and dual motor versions of the EX30, and then different spec levels. The bottom line being this one gives you 335 kilowatts, which is stupid power for a relatively small crossover SUV. But I have to tell you that besides off the line, besides that, and it cruises and can cruise all day at the national speed limit, I just don't get the feeling this is a racing machine. It's a good cruiser, and it's a lovely about town, around town car. We brought it out into the country for a change, but that's not necessarily what these are made for. But I think you know all of that already. Let's see it on the road. Let's take a look inside. Savvy investing is best left to the experts. And when it comes to offshore investing, it's even more important to talk to an expert. Well, Earl Don from Forexpert is the guy you should be talking to for your offshore investments. Just for the fun of it, we've brought the EX30 out of its natural habitat. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, electric cars are really most suited to town driving, aren't they? We all know that. So we brought it out to the country instead, just for an open road cruise and to enjoy the performance potential of this twin motor top power version, 335 kilowatts of power that you've got, and just feel how it pulls up a hill, because that is this real crux of this engine. It just accelerates silently but seamlessly up the hill as if it is absolutely nothing on this earth that it's doing, and that is just such a pleasure. The other thing, of course, is just how quiet it is. Just whispers its way along, doesn't it? Beautiful to drive, got all, of course, the luxuries, all the features, all the comfort, everything you want. But something I mentioned in the early part of the video, the fact that there's no instrumentation in front of me, that's because it's there. That big tablet screen I mentioned, if you have a look there. Your speedometer's there, for example, things like that, so you can see what's going on. But I must be honest, I know a few performance cars in the past had the speedo and whatever over there. For example, the original Alfetta GT, the speedo was there, the rev counter was in front of the driver. They did it that way, but it's a matter of getting used to things, I suppose. And it's a matter of saying, okay, fine, well, all my instrumentation is in the center, I'll have to just get used to it. And if you have owned the car and you've had it for a few days or a few weeks, you'll be used to it pretty quickly. But it is just something different in the market and in getting used to. So what, doesn't matter. But overall, absolute pleasure to pilot, not necessarily suited to coming through to hearties and tackling the twisties as I am. But when you've got that kind of power under your foot, well, then why not do this? Just why not? That's the crux of the matter, isn't it? Jumping in behind the wheel, the first thing you're going to notice is there's nothing in front of me, which is really strange and unusual. There is this little panel here above the steering wheel, which I thought was going to give me some information, but it doesn't seem to. Kind of strange, kind of odd, but I'll live with it. Now, obviously, something about electric cars is the engine's actually on, or the motor's on, and all you have to do is the gear shift, the gear stalk is here on the steering column, and if I put it into drive or reverse, it'll immediately be powered up. So as you get in the car, it's powered up. Weird, because you don't switch it off when you're getting out either. You just get out, lock the car, and it turns off. You've got your cruise controls. You've got all these things. You know what they are. I'm not going to spend too much time explaining them, but they're all there for you. So let's move across to the center here. And you've got this lovely big tablet screen, which really does look good, doesn't it? And I think it's really a nice thing, a nice feature. It's got absolutely everything. I don't think I need to spend too much time showing you too much of it. But what's important is look at those camera views you get. Look at that. Your various cameras, okay? So you've got that. You've got a park assist, which I think you know by now I never use. I don't know, old-fashioned, I just prefer them. You've also got this very unusual front fascia in front of you. You can see the different levels, again, with this funny sort of printing or whatever you want to call on it, another level over here. And then can you see across there the Harman Kardon soundbar? They've gone out of their way with the sound system on this car. They've really taken it to the nth degree. So it's one of these interesting features and interesting cars in the sense that there's very little to it in some ways and so much to it in other ways. You've got a floating situation here for your cup holders. Below it, you've got over there an inductive charging pad and space for a second cell phone. And then underneath here, which you're not going to really see, is another little area, and it's actually got connectivity for you. It's got a little modem that Volvo have fitted, but I'm not going to say I've used that too much, but a nice big storage area there as well. Another unusual feature is your window controls for the front are here for the two front windows. It's just unusual, different, and I suppose, you know what, you own the car, take you a little bit, you'll get used to it and you'll know all about it. So again, does it really matter? The big thing, electric cars, we all know the penalty when it comes to duty and pricing. So I don't want to make too much of pricing, except to tell you that the EX30 range starts at 775,000 Rand for the single motor and lower spec version. This one, dual motor, top spec with everything, with sound bars, with all the bells and whistles, is 995. And I think you'll agree with me that that's exceptional value for an electric car. And I have to say it that way, for a fully electric. It's among the best value you're going to get. And that's an interesting fact, that the Volvo have come in with this aggressive pricing and managed to do it. It's certainly got the power, the oomph, the go, and the luxury. It's got all those things. And it's got, of course, the conscious side for the, can I call it, the greenies. So it's got all of those things put together. If you're in the market for electric, obviously size could make a difference to you. It depends what size vehicle you want. But as a town car, wow, this really ticks so many boxes. For MotorMatters, Change Cars, and all things motoring, I'm Alan R, and I'll see you next time.